Well, it was another great day for Colorado State football. Added 10 new signees, including 7 linemen, which makes us a better football program. It's always going to be important for us to find players who are tough, love football, love Colorado State, and I think today we enhanced that. 5 signees are from the state of Colorado, the most this program has signed since 2015, and that's important to add guys who are passionate about the program on a little bit deeper level. Sanjay Strickland from Arvada, Brian Crespo from Fort Collins, Henry Blackburn from Boulder, Tanner Howlands from Littleton, Chase Wilson from Arvada, and Ralston Valley, right, 2 Arvadas here. We also held a handful of scholarships to be able to add transfers who may decide to come to Colorado State after the spring. You know, we're talking about the 5th-year market and those types of things, so we're actively involved in that as well. A couple of notes that I think are pertinent in my opening statement. You know, we added 10 total players, 6 on offense, 4 on defense. Overall, 20 signees with 9 on offense and 11 on defense overall, first period and second signing period. 10 of the 20 players are on the lines, and that's where we want to build it, as I said earlier. It all starts up front on both sides of the ball, and you want to run the ball better, you want to stop the run better, you want to protect the quarterback better. You know, you've got to start to build your trenches. Quarterback Toddy, and offensive lineman Cam Reddy are eligible immediately from Temple and Boston College. These are guys who have a lot of playing experience and have done a lot of good things. The Coloradan that we added today, Sanjay Strickland, was a guy who was willing to wait on a scholarship. He was a guy who was real passionate about being here, about Colorado State. There was other Mountain West teams that wanted to sign him, and that was real meaningful to us/me. As I said when I got here, we want to do a great job in the state, and when we have a player that has his ability level and his passion for the game and his passion for CSU, I think it's my job, our job, to find a way to make that become a reality. So we committed him to a scholarship now, even though he was willing to wait, and I feel great about that, because I think that talks a lot about what somebody's all about, that they're willing to sacrifice to pursue their dream. So I'm really put my head on the pillow last night and felt awful good about that. And I think we've got a heck of a football player, and I think we'll have a passion for everything that's right. There are 6 early enrollees, which is a big deal for our program right now, something we want to continue. It helps get acclimated quicker. Cam Reddy, Bam Amina, Gage Gaynor, Casey Irons, Henry Blackburn, and Kiwan Herndon. So those are guys that are here that normally wouldn't be here. We'd have to wait until June 1 to get them. We got them now. They can acclimate to college football, to academics, to studies, to how we condition, how we train, fundamentals, playbook, and I think it gives you a much better opportunity as a newcomer / freshman, whatever that is, to make a contribution earlier. You get some young guys out of high school, it's overwhelming, and it just takes a long time just to get through that and figure it out before you can even worry about competing. So I think that's significant. So with that, that's kind of my long opening statement, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
You talked about after the early period how adding to the offensive line in particular was a priority. Then you went out and added 5 offensive linemen. Are you pleased with the depth you added there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's ongoing. Obviously, that's a position right now that, you know, just from a sheer numbers standpoint, was problematic. We had 9 scholarship offensive linemen, and you should operate with 17. I'd say that's a significant deficit that we had to address immediately, and we're not done addressing it.
Defensive line, you talked about too, maybe a little bit better depth there, but you just wanted more bodies. Is that probably with the going to a 4-3 look, or?
I mean, it has nothing to do with that other than the fact that when you manage a roster, and as a head coach, you have to have roster management or you run amok, okay? And you have a shell of what it looks like. How many running backs, how many quarterbacks, how many receivers, how many D linemen, how many O linemen. And if you don't manage that board properly and it just becomes independent contracting, then you have deficits. And when you have a deficit up front, it's a really bad deficit because, you know, it's really hard, for example, to get an offensive lineman ready to play in a year or two, right? Usually it's a real developmental deal. And I'm accustomed to that. So On the defensive line, another hard position, we wanted to get our numbers to where they should be, you know, and so we are even going into summer camp. We will be even at that number at the defense line where we should be. On the offensive line, you know, we'll probably be even, at least from a number standpoint of how many bodies we should have. Okay, there are a couple of positions where we might be down 1 or 2 bodies. And there's only so much, because of the way the rules are, you're allowed 25 initials. So you can only sign 25. So, you know, if you lose however many guys, whether it's to graduation / leave the program, what have you, you can't replace them. You can only replace them at a clip of 25 a shot, okay? So that's why roster management is critically important. And then the development and the maintenance of those players and seeing them through. And not to get on a tangent, but what's going on in college football today, with the portal and everything, everyone's on a roller coaster ride right now in terms of managing your roster and not getting out of whack. You can bring 25, but if you have a 35 deficit, then you're down 10. And instead of operating at a scholarship level at 85, you're operating at 75, right? So there's a lot going on. And so, you know, I'm really locked into managing the roster the right way. And it started with balancing out our numbers. And then, of course, the other thing here is, I'll say this to you. Being out on the road for a short time before on the first signing period and then a little longer on the second signing period, I've just seen a lot of really talented players in the state of Colorado, in my opinion. Guys that maybe are under the radar, guys that I think can bring great value. So as we move forward, we've got to do a great job evaluating those guys through camps and everything else. And right now, currently, we have put a lot of emphasis, you know, on walk-ons, on getting some of these quality players and say, hey, you know, come, be a part of this thing, you know, come in here and do a great job and earn it. And we want you. You're valued. And, you know, we don't want to see these guys leaving our state, going somewhere else. And so we have been in a mad rush trying to connect with these talented players throughout our state that, for whatever reason, have been overlooked in some capacity, and that's something that's really important to us and will help us as we build our roster, because we're held to a certain number per year, you know, but we want to add to that with some real talented preferred walk-on candidates. Okay, that's a lot more than you asked, but go ahead. Anybody else?
How much different was the process from the December one, which was obviously really rough for you? Now you have the staff, you have some time to actually plan out, get into this day.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was different for sure. It's still a mad rush, and because the way it's structured now, when you come off the holidays, you really have a very narrow window, right? It's a 2-week window. It's not a lot. And you're still confronted with trying to, you know, go out and evaluate preferred walk-ons, go out and make relationships in the state, and then, of course, on a more expanded national level, continue to recruit. And you know, you're also, as you project players, which here there's going to be a lot of projecting guys, right? We're not, you know, like where I came from, I'm not used to 4 and 5 stars. I'm used to projecting and creating and developing, and would turn out to be those, right? But yeah, we didn't have the element of time. That's a time-intensive deal. Like right now, we are starting already on the 21s, right? So that those 21s will have an opportunity to walk through these doors and be involved in one-day camps and have a running 10 to 12-month relationship, so you can do a better job of projecting out those guys. So it was still extremely rushed. You said compare it? Well, when I first got here, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, I mean, you're just, someone used the analogy, you know, drinking water through a fire hose, and that's what you're doing. I mean, on all fronts. I mean, that's a 7-day whirlwind. The next swipe is much more targeted and organized, and so obviously more fruitful. You know, I wish I had another month, to be honest with you. And I think could be even better.
You talked a lot about just getting out in Colorado. You saw there was maybe a little bit more talent than maybe you had thought, or as far as a lot of those PWO preferred walk-ons, some of the obviously signing 5 guys. Is that something that is more unique to here, or did you find that going around Massachusetts when you were in Boston?
Yeah, I found
going
it.
around New England, is that just kind of a all over wherever, look a little closer to home? Sometimes you can find a little bit, maybe take more of a guy that maybe isn't quite as on the radar, you go find him.
Yeah.
Because you're closer to him.
The simple answer to that is yes. And, I mean, candidly, did not have a lot of experience in the state of Colorado. I've got a pretty good national experience, but just not in Colorado. And, but really loved meeting the high school coaches and getting a chance to see some of the talent around here. I would say all of us, to a man, that have not had great background here, were very, very pleasantly surprised. And, you know, again, is that this given year? I really couldn't tell you that, but right now, I think there's plenty of talent. And I would say to you, to your question, yes. I mean, my experience has been there's talent everywhere. Now, you got to evaluate it, have an eye for it, cultivate it, and that's more time intensive and a little bit more work. But I think anytime you can build it inside out, I just, to me, like Sanjay, when you have a passion to want to be here, that's meaningful. When you've grown up here and this is important to you, I think that's really meaningful. So I think that we've got to continue to cultivate our backyard. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but clearly I reinforce that mindset in the short amount of time I've been here.
With Toddy coming in at quarterback, were you specifically looking for a dual-style quarterback for your system?
You know, my mindset is, well, first of all, obviously, you know, we had 2 quarterbacks here on scholarship. That's it. You can't function that way. Just like you couldn't function with 9 offensive linemen. You can't function. And so our mindset, when I look at quarterbacks, you know, I look at the intangibles. They all can win. Drop back guys great throwers, drop back guys, runners that can throw. That's irrelevant to me. It's all about the it factor. It's about the intangibles. It's about being a winner. And I think, you know, you're always looking to make sure that you increase. You know, we need to have 5 quarterbacks on the roster on scholarship here. It's as simple as that. I mean, anywhere in the country. And, you know, Toddy is a guy that, to me, is got a tremendous work ethic, tremendous competitive winner mentality. You know, and he has 2 years eligibility, you know, and that's important, you know, because, you know, we're in that situation right now where our starter's got this year and that's it. That's all he's got. And so we have to be cognizant moving forward. That's another position where you just can't, you know, throw a guy in. So, you know, we've got to have a deeper roster, and we've got a plan for now and moving forward. So it's all part of it.
Is quarterback a spot where you're going to have to look really hard at that with those other 5 remaining? I know obviously you had one you lost just the other day that you were hoping to sign today. Is that a spot when you look at, because you've only got the 2 on scholarship?
Yeah.
You're going to really, maybe one of those 5 remaining
Sure.
could very well go to a quarterback or not?
Yes.
Okay. What other spots besides quarterback?
Offensive line.
Feel like besides quarterback and O-line, do you feel like there's a big deficit?
Yeah, I'd say possibly a running back. Yeah, I'd say those are for sure targets. You know, and what I've got to do is get a look too at the health of our team, and you know, there's still some hidden injuries and different things out there that could dictate another positional need. There's other factors that'll creep up, and in the way this whole thing works right now, you know, there's a portal period now, and then usually another one in May after spring ball. That's just the way of the college football world right now. So there'll be some opportunities to dip in there, and I think that's a fine line mix. I mean, you're trying to fill some immediate needs, but you're also trying to make sure that you're balancing your roster future-wise. Otherwise, you create another hole, you know. And so the object is to kind of go like this and bring it to a point where it's balanced. And I think in a perfect world, if you ever get to a perfect world, you're balanced with your guys that you have built ground up and you're healthy. Yeah.
I was gonna say, is that one of the things you're always trying, you talk so much about the importance of bringing guys in and developing them. Obviously, when you're bringing transfers in, you're hoping more for an immediate fix, probably not somebody you're gonna have time to work with and develop, because they might only have 1 or 2 years.
To a degree, yes, although sometimes you can get somebody in with 3 years. But yeah, I mean, I think the more, on those immediate ones, it's, you're trying to, used to be, it was a junior college world, right? But I think the 5th-year market has become attractive. But I still believe that you recruit your players as freshmen, bring them in, develop them, and that's the optimal way to do your business. And I think, like anything else, that should be the majority of how you do it, and then there might be some sprinkling of things. Right now, maybe we might have a little more than a sprinkling, and I'd like to think that that wouldn't be the case moving forward out another year or two. That would be more of a sprinkling, and I think that that's an okay deal, Because you see, to me, as you develop your team, you've got to build that trust within that group, and part of that trust is time and grade, right? Pain and suffering together, and you go through it together, and you build those bonds and those relationships, and it makes it hard to drop the rope on someone that you've been with, that you develop a relationship with, that you love. That's harder and harder, right? The essence of building a team, if you get too much transplant, you don't have that same bond. So that, somewhere in the middle, reality falls.
You mentioned spring ball. Do you have an itinerary for what you want that to look like this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should look really tough, hard, physical. I mean, that's what it's going to look like. Really fundamental, and a lot of tackling. I mean, the things that you would think would occur, they need to occur. In spring ball. Nowadays, it's real hard to get that stuff done in training camp. It's too close to the season. So we need to really learn about our team mentally and physically, and then we need to really work on the key components of building a good football team here. So blocking and tackling.
So that could go in March?
Yep. We start spring ball. I forgot the date in front of me right now, but I want to say it's like the first week of March. Yep.